and or morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to our webinar today on transforming your old pool. I am Emily Tipping. I'm the editorial director for Recreation Management Magazine. We are a publication serving facility directors for recreation, sports, fitness facilities, and aquatic facilities across the country, going to around 50,000 subscribers, and we also have a website. We encourage you to sign up for a subscription at recmanagement.com when you get a moment. But don't go yet, because we've got a great presentation for you today on transforming older pools with Jason Mart, Jonathan Roberts, and Kim Webster from Renesys. But before we get started, I want to draw your attention to just a couple of housekeeping items. In the related content box, you'll find a copy of the slides for this presentation for your reference that you can use. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll find buttons for chat and Q&A. So feel free to talk with one another. And if you've got a question for our panel of experts today, please let us know, shoot us a question, and we'll be getting to questions at the end of the presentation. So with that said, if you're all settled in and we're ready to go, I'm going to turn things over to Jason Mart to get us started. Jason?
Thank you, Emily. My name is Jason Mart. I'm one of the owners of Renesys Corporation, and I started the company back quite a while ago. And we are very happy to have you here to talk about how to save an older pool, how to transform a pool if that's your desire, and all the current technologies that are put into play to make the transformation possible. I'm to my left is Jonathan Roberts, and to my right is Kim Webster. They'll be presenting here in in a couple of minutes. But before I begin, I just want to give you a brief overview on our company. Renesys was formed almost 36 years ago, and our focus has always been on saving America's pools. We do renovations, we do constructions. We're a vertically integrated company, and that means that results in lower markups on project costs because there's fewer middlemen. And we work in a design-build circumstance, as well as we also work from a number of other arrangements directly with local contractors, as well as architects, and a number of different ways to go to market. But we're a family-owned company, and I should mention that although we'll be talking about Renesys products today, we're not the only company in the world that does this type of thing. There are we have competitors, so we think we have some unique advantages, but we are by no means want you to think that we're a sole source sort of a situation. So, at any rate, with that all said, let me begin the presentation, and I just want to have everybody have some sort of a preview of how our presentation is presented. I will be reviewing kind of along America's pools, with your pool perhaps, and how and stainless steel gutters and PVC to stabilize and enhance the appearance and the longevity of your pool, make your pool like new. Jonathan will be then stepping in and covering more advanced renovations involving gutter systems and more thorough renovations. And then finally, Kim will talk about an increasingly popular option, which is to expand the footprint of your existing pool, to add amenities, to add additional water features, to add play features, water playgrounds, and that sort of thing by utilizing the PVC membrane technology to transform the shape and configuration of your pool. So that's how we'll be proceeding. We tend to focus, particularly in this presentation, on cost-saving ideas. So that you'll hear that theme presented throughout the presentation. So, what the heck went wrong with my pool? Well, don't feel bad. It's not you. Your pool was built out of whatever materials were used initially. Most pools, 95% of pools are built of concrete, the older pools particularly, and they are subject to all kinds of quality limitations, having to do with the mix of the concrete, the experience of the applicator, the supervision, the rebar placement. There's a whole bunch of things that happen when your pool is built. And don't forget, your pool was probably built by the low bidder. So that even creates additional problems. But the main problem is that concrete is a porous material, and water is infused under pressure into that concrete matrix. And that concrete matrix is a chemical bath, essentially, and acidic water intrudes into all the gaps. And so from the day that the pool is built, pool operators are constantly trying to keep that water from penetrating into the wall of the pool. When the acidic water gets back into the concrete, there's a couple of effects that happen. One is that the acidity of the concrete destroys the alkalinity. The acidity of the pool water destroys the alkalinity inherent in the structural integrity of the concrete and tends to make it break down. And that allows additional water intrusion, and eventually you have factors of freeze-thaw cycles, and that causes problems. Once you have your leakage happening, once you get your pool cracks and you have expansion joints give way and you have water leaving the pool, then you create washout back behind the side walls, and then you create structural problems with your piping, and eventually you have settling in areas of the deck that are diminished and drop. You may have a corner of your pool drop, creating problems in that respect. So those are the primary ways in which pools fall apart. But you could build your pool out of titanium or some completely impervious metal, but that's not really financially responsible. So you could build a permanent pool. We typically recommend, when you're building a new pool, to utilize 304 or 316 stainless steel, because it's a very, very long-lasting and durable material and will last much longer, even though it is a little bit more expensive than concrete. So those are some of the factors that are in play. So as a result of all those factors, this picture shows the end result of that chemical process and the freeze-thaw process that I described. You see in this picture some concrete just completely spalled off the wall. This is about 5 or 6 inches deep into the wall. And, most architects or engineers would look at a pool like this and they would say, you would need to build a new pool. In reality, it's not necessarily so. We have dozens and dozens of pools that we've renovated that are in this level of degradation. We simply remove the loose concrete and provide appropriate bond coats and patch the work, and then we put on our PVC membrane, which we'll talk about in just a second. But you, as an owner, one of your most important things is to try to save the existing infrastructure so that you can keep that pool in play in the public's mind, because pools that are closed are frequently then abandoned. And so if there's anything you can do to keep your pools from entering that death spiral, because pools serve not only a recreational but an important safety configuration. They've got a very important safety role to play in the community through Learn to Swim programs. So we recommend briefly that you Make sure the most important thing for you to do is to try to keep your pool open. You have to stabilize your pool to avoid it being on the chopping block when the next budget round comes to your city council or your board meetings. Make sure your pool is safe and that it complies with code. Then stop the water loss through some techniques and technologies we'll discuss in a little bit. And then once you stabilize your pool and keep it from losing water, then you can continue to operate it and make plans, budgetary plans and design plans to take the pool to some other level. That process is, we'll talk about throughout the rest of the presentations. So here's what's most likely happened. These are the five most common things that have gone on with pools. You've got structural shell deterioration. You've got pool return or supply piping failures, pool deck settling and deterioration, or pool mechanical room issues. And then I should just mention, although we have manufacture lots of products for renovating the mechanical room, that's not the subject of this webinar. We'll probably be doing another webinar next year on that subject, so look for that. But this is it's beyond the scope of this presentation. The number 5 thing is a common thing. It's where your pool has it's gone stagnant. It doesn't offer the recreational amenities that your community is expecting. And so as a result, demand dries up and desire to go to the pool dries up. The pool becomes more expensive to operate because you don't have enough people there. So Kim will be addressing how to change all that and make your pool more exciting for your community. So what's the technology? This is the technology that we employ. We employ 60 to 85 mil reinforced PVC membranes. We pioneered the membrane revolution. It's very popular in Europe. And we pioneered it here in the United States. And we have done over 10,000 renovations. Oh my goodness, I don't know how that happened. I would just like to here's a couple of before and after photos of, sorry, my phone is in the other room. I guess it's ringing into my computer. Lucky you. You get to hear from my brother. So at any rate, it's in my office if you want to go turn that off. My apologies. So at any rate, we employ these PVC membranes, and we'll be discussing how they go in here in a little bit. But they are reinforced blankets of materials. We essentially upholster the interior of your pool. We do so with thick 60 mil to 85 mil reinforced material, which is welded together on site to upholster the interior of your pool. And the material comes with embossed textures that are built right into the PVC. They're very durable, very easy to maintain. And they have one unique feature that really makes them unique, and that is that they allow construction to occur with cold joints. So you don't have to worry about old concrete meeting new concrete at a cold joint and not being able to stay together. So that is incredibly important. You can see here a picture of an indoor pool renovated with the membrane system, and the felt that we employ to protect the bottom of the pool, and then the material, which is very, very flexible and works out very nicely for renovation. Here's an example of a cold joint solution. And it allows you to think outside the box kind of as to what you can do with your pool. This is an old pool that was an acre pool at an 850-foot perimeter around the outside, and they had a 12-inch pipe that had to be replaced. Well, rather than excavating outside that steel wall, they were actually able to put the pipe inside this bench, which was approved by the state. So there was a continuous bench all the way around the pool that was built. that encapsulated that piping, and then we just put the membrane over that, and it worked wonderfully and allowed the customer, I think, 15 years of use before they budgeted for the pool replacement. The other part of the technology that we employ is stainless steel gutters. Stainless steel gutters are something we manufacture. There's a number of companies that manufacture them here in the United States. And Jonathan will be covering them more in greater detail, but this allows you to eliminate all of your existing piping around the exterior of your pool. And then again, another product concept that's utilized is a thick 85 mil PVC decking, which can be placed over the existing decking if it's a certain quality level, and to renovate the whole look of your pool perimeter deck. And here's some photos of basically what we do. We come in, I'm talking today about simple renovations, cosmetic renovations of public pools primarily. But we come in and we install and make a sort of amazing transformation before and after, and easy to maintain and preventing water intrusion. You can see the process from the left to the right in this photo, from before, after the installation is done with I think there's a large logo in the center of this pool, and then the final picture with water in it. Now remember, these cosmetic renovations are designed to not only make your pool look like new and improve your patron acceptance of the facility, but also to stabilize your existing wall structure and floor structure. Your existing infrastructure, holding on to that, protecting it, stabilizing it. And one of the key things about a PVC membrane is we employ hot air to join the rolls together, and then the markings are welded on over the surface. So the upholstery, instead of upholstering with needle and thread, we upholster with hot air, and the seams that are welded together are much stronger than the material itself. So you get a long, durable, non-prorated warranty with the PVC membrane system. And then when you connect it to the stainless steel gutter, that also eliminates your piping around the perimeter. Here's an example of how you can repair and encapsulate your gutter system to also give new life to the edge of the pool, and again, preventing water intrusion into that concrete structure is very, very important for the longevity of the project, to keep it open, keep people coming, and also let them feel like they have a like-new facility. Sometimes we show up on projects. This is a casino project that we did in one of the Gulf states, and the transformation is just, it's just remarkable for the customers. And the final product is something that you can be proud of for many years. When we show up, sometimes it's not always what we expect we're going to be getting. This is a project that we performed where we had much more degradation to the concrete than we were anticipating, but we were able to, fix this pool and give it a new 10-year warranty. The whole structure is under a 10-year warranty. We chattered away, removed the loose concrete, and then we formed it up. You can see around the perimeter on the right-hand side of the wall where we reformed that concrete, and did several days of patchwork to all stable. And then we began to encapsulate it with our PVC membrane, welding the material together. The rolls were all presented lined out, and as we progressed with the process, the whole edge of the pool was encapsulated. And if you look at the left side of this photo, this shows how we've encapsulated with that's rec deck on the decking material on the side. So we can often incorporate the rec deck with the PVC membrane. The PVC liner, the membrane system is lining the gutter, and the rec deck is lining the curb. This is a in-process picture, but you get a sense of it. Again, here you can see now a long shot. You can see on the far side some of the panels are not quite yet welded up, but you get a sense of the safety markings we're able to apply and the integrity of the overall presentation. And the pool is going to be usable for at least a decade, maybe two. And we've come to our poll question. Emily, that's the end of my presentation.
All right, so we've got a little poll question for you guys. Wake you up, get you involved here. Go ahead and answer. How old is your current pool or aquatic facility? Are you 20 years old or less, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, or older than 50? And before we got on the call here, we were talking about some of the really old pools. So I know that you guys have been involved in some projects that involve some really old pools, including the WPA, right?
Yeah, well, we did a number of projects that were built during the WPA. In fact, that one with the bench on it was a nearly 100-year-old pool. So we've done probably 15 to 20 WPA pools. Actually, the concrete was much stronger back in those days than the concrete mixes today, much less permeable to susceptible to water infusion, and they held up really well.
Pretty impressive. Okay, we've got a good number of responses in, so I'm going to go ahead and push this forward, and we'll see how old you guys' pools are. We've got around a quarter of you say your pool is 20 years old or less. Around a fifth are 21 to 30, and a few with 31 to 40, and a little more than 40% have pools that are older than 40 years. So that's a pretty old pool.
We got some old ones out there.
How about it? I'm going to turn things over to Jonathan now. Jonathan, take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. My name is Jonathan Roberts. I've worked with Renesas Corporation for 10 years. I spent a good portion of my time here managing our manufacturing operations of the many pieces of pool equipment and parts that we make here. And for 3 and 4 years here have been involved with as a sales consultant on both full pool renovations and new construction cells. So I certainly have a great understanding of both our capabilities in-house and in the field. What I'm going to be talking today is about advanced transformations, or what we call combination renovations here in-house. This is going to be a renovation where we're not only addressing the interior of the pool, but we're also replacing the recirculation plumbing around the pool through the use of a perimeter gutter system. So this type of renovation may or may not involve the mechanical room. But as Jason mentioned, that's not the focus of what we're touching on here. We're strictly focused on today the pool itself. Here you can see in this photo, this is a combination renovation that's nearing completion. The perimeter stainless steel gutter has been installed. The PVC membrane is nearing completion. Once this type of renovation is complete, every single portion of the pool that a swimmer sees or feels will be brand new. So it is a great transformation. So I'm going to cover some of the benefits of the stainless steel gutter system, talk a little bit about how they're installed, and then I'll highlight a couple of projects with some photos. Gutter systems can come in stainless steel or PVC. They're incredibly efficient in recirculating your pool water because of their because of the integral design, which also makes them a very cost-effective way to replace the plumbing around your pool and offer tremendous value because of their long service life. Renesas has been making gutter systems for over 30 years, so we've seen it all when it comes to renovations. And through all those experiences, have come to develop many types of gutter configurations. Gutter can be configured not only for an efficient turnover, but also achieving certain design aesthetics or to overcome dimensional limitations of a renovation. You can have a standard rollout gutter as seen in the photo there with the water, which is covered with PVC grating. You can also have a fully recessed design where the pool deck extends all the way over the gutter and it looks like the water's disappearing beneath the deck. In addition, gutters can be designed to have the water at the deck level, like in the photo there with the granite grating. So these are only just a few of the configurations, but there is almost certainly always a gutter that can be designed to work for your specific pool. Let's take a look at some of the benefits and advantages of a gutter system. It is very important to remember that 80% of the contaminants reside in the top 1 inch of the water. So the gutter provides continuous skimming of that top 1 inch of water around your entire pool perimeter for an efficient and thorough turnover. A new gutter system will be designed to meet the turnover rates as required by your local health department. The gutter is incredibly durable. It can stand up to commercial use and requires very little maintenance over the life of the product, which is easily 25 years or more. The main feature of the gutter and its benefit in an advanced transformation is the integral recirculation design, which carries all of the pool water besides the main drains within itself. This allows you to completely abandon all your buried piping around your pool. So your skimmers, your wall inlets, your floor inlets, if they're all leaking, you can abandon all of that and replace it with the gutter system. So if you take a look at this diagram here, you've heard me use the term integral multiple times. And what that is that the gutter system can, within itself, carry both the return and the supply water. So there in the diagram, you see the front face of the gutter with the blue square below it, which is the pool wall. You see the concrete back on the deck side. So the water overflows that top lip above the pool lip there. The grating is below the gutter, which offers a finger grip below the gutter. And the PVC grating there acts as the first strainer. So it's going to catch a lot of the debris, the leaves, that sort of thing. And the water spills over into that back trough. That trough carries the dirty water to a couple locations, into some piping that takes it into your filtration and sanitation. And then the water returns clean through the triangular type chamber there on the front. So dirty water's in the back, the clean water's in the front. That is the integral design. And if you notice there, the two little holes with arrows coming out just above the blue pool wall, depending upon the GPM of your pool, which we would calculate, we basically drill those around the entire perimeter so the water returns evenly to your pool under constant pressure. So it's skimming and returning all at an even pressure. It also eliminates the need for coping stones. So, we run into pools all the time, the grout's missing, everything's sinking. We just eliminate that and replace it with this system. It's also very easy to winterize because you have all of your pool water return and supply right up near the top of the deck as shown here. We also carry PVC gutters, which are available for indoor applications. These are a cost-effective option as stainless steel, usually saving 20 to 30%, while still also being incredibly durable and offering superior corrosion resistance in the indoor chlorine-rich environment. The process of installing a gutter starts with saw cutting away enough room around the top of the pool perimeter to allow for the new gutter. In many cases, this requires cutting 16 inches back on the deck and 16 inches down on the pool wall, as you can see in this photo. Because the gutter carries both the return and the supply water, again, we can abandon all the wall and the wall inlets. So this is about the amount of demolition that's going to be required. for comparison, if you were to replace your skimmers and your wall inlets, from what you see there, you would need to cut back about another 3 to 4 feet and then also dig down another 3 to 4 feet to access all of that wall return plumbing. You can imagine the type of disturbance that you'll have on that settled soil, and some of you, your 50-plus-year-old pool wall. So we're minimizing the disturbance with this. Once the saw cutting's done, the gutter installs directly onto the top of your pool wall. It's installed at a laser level, so even if you have an old concrete gutter now that's sinking and water's just kind of funneling into the low spots, with the new gutter, it will be returned to laser level and you can have even skimming again. We can also incorporate a stainless steel skirt, which is this piece of metal you see on the right picture down at the bottom. That allows for a PVC membrane installation where they essentially become a seamless design. The PVC membrane terminates to the skirt and eliminates the need for any sort of caulk or grout joint below the gutter, which is always a ongoing maintenance item. Once the gutter's installed, you need somewhere for all the water to go to. That is done through the use of collection and supply boxes. So these boxes you see here, they're strategically replaced around your pool near your existing mechanical room. We size the little pipe flanges that you see off of there for the correct piping to meet the required turnover. So the water goes into the gutter, it dumps into these boxes, and it moves between the pool and your mechanical room through the piping through these boxes. Lastly, once everything's installed, you pour new concrete around the gutter. So if you see in this photo here, that's the amount of concrete that's new concrete that's needed to be poured around the new gutter. Should you go through with one of these renovations, as you can see here, it's a great time to get new depth markers installed, replace all those loose embed anchors for your handrails, your starting blocks, and your ladders. The gutter can be fitted with various types of grading through fiberglass, PVC, HDPE, granite, a lot of different looks you can achieve with that. It comes with some neat features. On the right, you see that little hole. That's a recessed cup anchor for your lane lines, so you can hook the lane line directly into a fully welded, very strong cup. It's recessed, no eye bolts sticking out or things popping up out of the deck that act as trip hazards. This is a before picture of a project we created in New England. It's a 25-meter lap and leisure pool. It's a 4-foot on the shallow end, 12-foot deep end. This is a customer that had just been limping by year after year, getting away with Band-Aid fixes. It just got to the point where they were spending way over budget year after year for a pool that was clearly very visibly worn and tired. You can see as you kind of look around, you see the coping stones are cracking, the grout is missing. After that first poll question, I'm sure a lot of these photos are very familiar to a lot of you, especially this one here, constantly patching cracks and spalling plaster. You'll notice the joint there between the floor and the wall. Another amazing benefit of the PVC membrane is just being able to cover that up and waterproof it without really needing to do anything but install a PVC membrane. And then here are the finished photos of the project, utilizing both the stainless steel gutter and the PVC membrane. This was a project here where we did utilize the stainless steel skirt. You can kind of see on the edge of the stairs there where the membrane is attached to the gutter. So a PVC membrane in an outdoor application, 12 to 15 plus year service life. Within the life of the gutter, we can easily replace that membrane when it comes time. 15 years down the road, put in a new one. You've easily got a pool that can last 30 plus years, at the fraction of the cost of building new. Here's just a picture of the pool at night. And this final pool is a country club that we recently completed. They were experiencing plumbing leaks. The interior was worn and dated. This was a pool, a Z-shaped pool with a lap area, a shallow wading area, and a dive pool on the other end. On the left, you can see the new stainless steel gutter being installed. On the right, on this particular project, we were able to reutilize the existing plumbing, which is that piece of pipe that's sticking out there. So once the gutter was installed, the only other concrete that we needed to remove was this 4-foot by 6-foot piece. We simply installed the collector box at that piece of pipe, collected it, connected it, and the recirculation system was up and connected. And again, here is the finished product, and it's just night and day, which is really why we call these transformations. It's tremendous value. Community members love them. Dues paying members love them because, again, everything they see with this type of transformation is going to be new. So that finishes it up to me. And Emily, let's go to our next poll question.
All right. So we have another question for you guys. Thinking about your current pool, how urgent are the problems that you have with your current facility? Do you need to fix your problems as soon as possible? Do you have a couple of years maybe to address your issues? Are your problems not urgent at all? Or are you in a situation where you don't really know and you need an expert's opinion on the problems with your pool? Jonathan, what do you guys usually see? Do you see like a mixture of all of these different kinds of things?
Yeah, certainly we do see a mixture of them. A lot of people that we deal with need things addressed immediately. A lot of people that we deal with are simply just looking for budget numbers, and they're going to do another paint coat for a year while they save up to do this. We can also stage these sorts of things in where we can address a mechanical issues maybe before or after addressing a liner and a gutter. So you can kind of phase these in, which is a neat part of being able to phase them. So it's a budget-friendly process with that as well.
Yeah, that's great. I know that phasing is always a great approach for people who are struggling with that budget. All right, I'm going to go ahead and advance and we'll see where we're at. Majority of people are saying that they need to fix the problems with their pools within the next year or two. That's around 62%. We have 10% that need to fix their problems as soon as possible. And just about 12 that say not urgent, and the rest need an expert opinion. So that's where you guys are at. And we are going to turn things over next to Kim Webster, who has the rest of the presentation going for us. There's some really cool projects coming up in this next section. So I'm going to turn things over to Kim now. Take it away, Kim.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. So you've got some very valuable insight from Jason's segment, and Jonathan's presentation provided detailed solutions for returning optimal function to your pool. But what if simply restoring your pool is not enough? You need a major transformation, and the thought of funding this type of large-scale endeavor can be overwhelming. Well, you're probably a good candidate for a total transformation, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. You can break everything apart and start over from new with an unlimited budget to do everything you want to do as far as a total retransformation of your pool. Or you can do what we like to refer to as a conversion. Now, there are pros and cons to both of these approaches, but how do you decide? How do you decide what will work for you? Well, you need a clear perspective and an inventory of what's not working for you and your patrons. You may be operating under grandfather clauses with challenges that can't be solved by simply adding ADA lifts or VGP compliant covers. It's important to note that grandfathering, now that's a protective waiver that allows you to continue to operate while deferring certain mandates. Now those dissolve when you begin a large-scale renovation project. For example, you may have a single drain unit in your deep end, and your health board is allowing you to kind of continue on without actually doing the major construction because of the prohibitive cost of doing so. But as soon as your plans have moved on to larger renovations, those waivers will no longer apply. And you'll have to address all of those concerns. So you first need to get a clear understanding of your facility. Any health board violations or citations, and you need to listen to that patron feedback, like programming needs. Listen to your maintenance staff. It may sound like belly aching or griping, but their input is really essential to understanding the complete picture of what your facility is lacking. I hear it very often that my pool operator was a MacGyver, and he knew how to keep everything going in this antiquated system, and now that they're gone, nobody knows how to make it run. So you put your project into perspective by first defining your budget. You need to make a clear distinction between what your wants are and what your needs are. I had a customer once say that, it's hard to build a water park on a slip and slide budget. Now that's an overstatement, but it reflects the sense of hopelessness that you can have sometimes when you're challenged with this large scale project. Some will tell you that the only way to move forward is to build new. That's not necessarily the case. You need to identify what your budget and your patron commitment will support. Will it support the funding for a new construction project? If so, it may not even be necessary to put all that money towards there. But you need to make that distinction by first you need to be code compliant. You may need to host lifeguard training or sanction swim events in order to meet your increased revenues, or in order to increase your revenues. You may want a certain amenity. You may want a certain amenity, but in the larger scheme, it may not be quite as important. Now, these are decisions that you must weigh in your facility to shape your aquatic vision. So, aquatic conversions, that will incorporate as much of your viable infrastructure as possible. That leaves more funds available for maximizing this transformation that everybody wants. You're structurally modifying and expanding the footprint to add functionality, water features, and play activities. Expanding that basic lap pool to have a zero depth entries, which is really great for active seniors as well as your young patrons. Or having that dedicated arm of the pool that's exclusively for recreational activities, so you don't interfere with the lap swim. You have water aerobics for senior groups, tweens. Those are some of the ones that are kind of the hardest to please. So expanding that footprint allows you to move on and expand into that more ideal aquatic situation. So the key to making this transformation affordable is maximizing the reuse of your existing infrastructure. So why spend all of your construction dollars demolishing walls that may be sound for the next 50 years just to repour them again? It's likely that they can be saved. I'm going to refer back to that photo that Jason showed you earlier of that older wall with a missing chunk of concrete. That may have been an isolated area that needed to be addressed. By patching it, filling it in, or it may need something more robust, like a steel paneled wall. It's possible to save part of that infrastructure without having to demolish the entire perimeter. So by implementing some of these cost-saving approaches, you can actually have that transformation, and it can be within reach and within budget. So So you develop a clear plan tailored specifically for your facility. So you're going to gather that input you got from, from your maintenance team, from your patrons that tell you exactly how they want to spend their time in the pool. There's so many different operations over the last 10 years to help maximize the function of your pool. So the right design is going to optimize the standards to meet current code. They're going to provide a cohesive operational system that meets the needs of your aquatic staff. Speaking of, some of those innovations, you've got there are systems now that make it possible for you to balance your pool's chemical balance remotely, and that could be invaluable to if you have more than one facility. So the next step is to add those amenities that meet the expectations and even exceed those of your patrons. Maybe you need to be able to hold sanctioned swim meets, and in order to do so, you need to lower the depth of your pool in order to put in starting blocks. You need to have water aerobics to appeal to a large body of active seniors. You need lifeguard training, or here's a novel approach. You need to have a lifeguard training for seniors that might tackle the high school dilemma that a lot of you all have with getting lifeguards. So, a joke, haha. All righty. So, your plan is going to involve determining what can be saved, what needs to be saved, what are your priorities, what's important. Sometimes it's memories. In this small community, city of Sullivan, their pool was built in 1963, and for years it was the jewel of the city. We interviewed the neighbors, and they talked about their memories growing up and spending their childhood summers in the pool. Those kids are now grandparents, and they're determined to see that the next generation is able to enjoy this same pool, but better. So one of the things that they talked about in this community was being able to enjoy this rooftop sun deck and observe all of the activities going on in the pool. Now, an architect might look at this and say, that's trash, put a stick of dynamite in it and start from scratch. But for a small community with fewer than 5,000 population, rebuilding a structure like this it would just be unattainable. So we were able to bring in a structural engineer that was able to evaluate the building and found out the bones are good. A lot of what you see here is cosmetic. So we were able to put together a plan that brought this, that saved this building in addition to the pool structure, and helped them realize some of their aquatic vision by renewing what they had. So we implemented some of actually a lot of the systems that Jonathan mentioned in his segment, where we added the stainless steel recirculatory gutter system and put a PVC membrane system that returned watertight integrity and aesthetics to this older pool. So the new pool interior, the recirculatory system that has this pool performing like new with a new concrete deck, all of the amenities needed for ADA compliance, restored this pool. We were also able to add a lot of these amenities that make this really just a wonderful facility for this community. We kind of bridged that gap for the tweens by adding climbing walls and the water slide you saw on the other. We also were able to transform their old wading pool into what we like to refer to as a splash pool. Yes, splash pads are very, very popular. It's nice to be able to splash in the water, but it really does nothing to advance these younger kids in their ability to learn to swim. So having a body of water with a certain shallow depth allows them to increase their comfort and their skills in being in the water. So I think that's an important important asset to the community. And I think Jason's going to talk a little bit more about that. So, hard to believe that this pool that was pretty close to, that was definitely abandoned for a couple of years and pretty close to being discarded altogether, was able to be transformed into this wonderful aquatic center that has amenities, shade, just facilities for everyone. So we're going to show you a few of the highlights of this pool. You can actually see this, the lily pad walk, the nice wide deck that allows people to plenty of time for plenty of area for sunbathing, and also the that elevated deck on top. A good vantage point from the top, and then here from below, you can see that climbing wall and of the really wide view of the water slide and all of the amenities that are available for this facility. So a well-designed aquatic facility is going to provide access. An important thing about this facility is that with that elevated sun deck, they wanted to be able to expand their season by having activities beyond summer swim. So they can hold receptions and banquets and concerts on that rooftop. And so having ADA access was important to making sure that this fully functioning system could work for everyone. So we felt like we did a great service for this smaller population town that can start reliving a lot of their memories. You've got the picture of the mayor going off the high dive to relive his experiences and passing it on to the next generation. So it's important to get that input so that you can know what that vision is supposed to be. So there's that other category. Sometimes building new is the only choice you have. Maybe you have an interior pool that was built in an older building that really doesn't lend itself well to expansion. Or maybe the pool was located in a valley or on a hill, and creating an expansion with ADA access and all of the amenities is just more costly than is feasible. Then you're probably a good candidate for new construction. But there's still ways to save on new construction. Consider our fully welded steel walled system that you see here. You're able to limit the amount of concrete that you use. Why return to that concrete wall? It has a bigger environmental footprint than stainless, and we're able to make this cost-effective approach that's environmentally. Oh boy, lost my track there. Environmentally responsive. Jason likes to talk about the carbon footprint. So it's a way to construct a pool that will stand the test of time. So even if new construction is the option for you, there are ways to do it. So I thank you for your time. If you're ready to get started, we would definitely encourage you to visit to download the link to our request for quote form. Whether it's new construction, sourcing and building fabrication items in our shop, we're able to pull all these things together to bring your aquatic vision to life. And thanks for your time. Emily, back to you.
Thank you, Kim. That was great. I love seeing that pool transformation. I love seeing a pool that was closed for a time reopening. I think that's it's really exciting to see that you could save something.
It can be done. It can be done. And so
that's fabulous. So I think that we have Jason coming on for a few closing words here, and we will get things turned over to him. And we've got some questions from you guys that we'll get to in just a moment. So Jason, back back to you.
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. This is this picture that's up right now is the new pool that was originally shown with the stainless steel wall system going up for a client. We get we have a lot of respect for the National Drowning Prevention Alliance and the job that they do. Remember, when you're making your presentation to your city council or your board, how important it is. There's a trend to abandon pools and put in splash pads, but there's a real loss, not only a recreational loss, but also a safety loss to the community. Because when you teach kids to swim, it's been proven that community has fewer drownings throughout the whole life of the people that have learned to swim. And it's make certain that you have a facility that provides a learn to swim opportunity for your patrons. And we can renovate. You can see the quality of the perimeter can make all the difference in a pool. And we are happy to build new pools in concert with your design staff or our design staff. And we thank you all for showing up today, for coming. Emily, if you have any questions, we would love to answer them.
We do. We have a few questions, and we're running pretty close to time. So I do want to let everybody know that if you asked a question and we don't get to it, definitely we can follow up with you after, and your questions on file.
We can answer the questions in written form. So if they do have a question, we'll be happy to do that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to just go through a couple here. Karen asks if you can touch upon the difference between maintaining a plaster pool versus maintaining a pool with a PVC membrane. Are there differences in the maintenance requirements?
Oh, yes, the plaster pools are one of the greatest detriments to a plaster finish is that a plaster finish is very susceptible to the pH of the cleansing process. When you clean that plaster pool, when the plaster pool is prepped and worked on so many times, if you get too much acid in there, it'll just destroy it. But so the cleaning procedure for the PVC membrane is simply to water blast it primarily and clean it with an approved cleanser.
Okay. Jean-Marie asks if the membrane can be installed over tile.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good to know. She also asks, she says they have recirculation lines in the lane lines and wants to know if that's compatible with a PVC membrane.
Yes, we flange around each of those fittings, and that's a fairly common. We have a common design that can be utilized to renovate that type of a pool. Yes.
Gotcha. And we have a question. People are looking to renovate, but they're not quite sure how to get started. So what's your advice on working with a partner, an architect, or your team? What do people need to do to get their renovation project going?
Well, customers often ask us, how much cost savings is there? And it depends upon what's being renovated. If you're doing a full transformation, typically it's 25 to 50% savings over new construction, with a longer warranty. If, on the other hand, I remember a project we were involved with where the first few years that we were in business, we had a customer who got a quote from us to renovate their entire pool and deck and everything, and it was under $200,000. And they ended up tearing out the pool and putting up a new pool inside there for $4.5 million. And I just couldn't believe it. But one of the problems that you have is when you're looking at building a pool, when you're looking at renovating or building a pool, the intention that you bring to your initial meetings with your design team matter. If you have a $4 million project and you've already got it funded, there's going to be very little interest from the design team to turn that into a $400,000 renovation. But just last week, we had a customer who'd allocated $10 million for a new pool, and they found us, and they're getting the entire pool renovated and guaranteed for a full 10 years with all kinds of improvements for under $1 million. So 90% savings for that customer is pretty remarkable. And they can use that extra $9 million somewhere else in their recreation program or with additional amenities and features for their existing pool. But the first step, I think, the best step is to get somebody to consult as to the feasibility and the possible price range of a renovation, and then compare it with what your needs are. And even if you don't end up using that consultant, get multiple opinions to many consultants. They're focused on building new, and they don't really understand the technologies of renovation. And so that's one of the things that we recommend, is that you get a couple of opinions as to what you ought to do.
Excellent. Always good to get multiple opinions. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here because we've kind of reached our time. So first, I'd like to send a big thank you to Jason and Jonathan and Kim and all the folks at Renesys who helped put this presentation together, as well as our behind-the-scenes team here at Rec Management. And I'd especially like to thank all of you for attending today and making this a great back and forth. I saw there was a lot of action in the chat. You guys were talking with one another, and we always like to see that. We'll be sending out a link to the recording over the next couple of days, along with some links that Renesys has provided so that you can get some more information and find out about how to get a quote and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that communication. Again, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that the rest of your year goes swimmingly.
Thank you very much, Emily. Thank you, everyone.